Hi everyone, Happy New Year, Happy 2026. Yeah, 2026. Like every year, I want to talk about all the books I read in 2025 and also my reading statistics. Overall, I had a good reading year because I had a lot of fun reading my books. I also want to say that I created a Fable account where I'm also going to track my reading. I'm still going to be very active on Goodreads because that's the platform I've used for 10 years now. So I'm going to be using both Goodreads and Fable for 2026, and we shall see if I like Fable, if I'm going to continue using it. So let's get into the video. Let's start with the book statistics. I read 49 books and 21,352 pages. The average book length was 436 pages, which I think that makes sense because I do like my long books. And for average rating is 3.9, which is almost a 4-star. It hasn't been a bad reading year. I feel like last year was a bad reading year. This year, I know, like I'm aware I didn't focus a lot on the quality of the books. I focused more on the enjoyment of the books. I read a lot of books on Kindle Unlimited, which they may not be the best quality, but I had a fun time reading those books, even though they're not. Hi Betty. Betty's here. So even though I didn't read masterpieces that were 5 stars, I read some fun books that were 3 stars and I had a great time reading them. Then my reading year overview, like always, it's all over the place because sometimes I read a lot of books in 1 month and then I read only 1 book in a month. And then for the average rating, again, it's all over the place. Let's see it more in depth now. So as you can see, on June, I read 10 books. And then, for example, November, I read only 1 book. I reactivated my Kindle Unlimited subscription at the end of April. No, I think it was on May. And as you can see, May, June, and July, I was attached to my Kindle for my Kindle Unlimited subscription. You will see the books later, but I read all the Anna Huang books. I read a lot of Mafia reading, well, only 3 Mafia books, but they were amazing. Then for my ratings, as you can see, I have a lot of 3 and 4 stars. I only have 7 books that are 5 stars, which I think last year had much more, but I don't have any 1-star book. You know why? Because I DNF books. I've been talking about this for a while, but I do like DNFing books because I don't know why I try to push myself to read certain books. If I physically own it, I will most likely push myself to finish it. But this year I've actually started selling books on Vinted, books that I haven't finished because I hate it, books that I know I'm not going to reread, or books that have been on my TBR for 8 years. I'm learning to not force myself to read books that I don't feel like reading. And then here's a more detailed graphic for my ratings. I like giving quarter stars, and as you can see, and the majority are either 5-star books or 3.5, which is like the average, like the half star. This surprises me a lot. The fact that I only read 6 non-fiction books because I adore non-fiction books, which this is so weird. I know the big reason is because of my Kindle Unlimited subscription, which I don't have it anymore, but I didn't focus a lot on my non-fiction reading. Then again, this follows a pattern of the Kindle Unlimited subscription because I read most romance or contemporary fiction novels. Historical fiction, I think, is my favorite genre, and I read around 6 or 7 books. Fantasy used to be my top genre. Mystery thriller also used to be one of my top genres, so it's very weird to say this short. And then the other ones are just 1 or 2 books I read. Then I read mostly adult books. The one middle grade is a Fairy Oak series, which I adore. Then for year published, the majority of them were in that 2000 and 2010s decade. I'm very happy that I read 9 books published in 2025 because one of my goals in 2023 was to read more books published in the same year, and that's a goal that I've kept. I do want to prioritize reading more classics this year. Then mostly the books I read were in English. I need to read more books in Spanish and Catalan. I keep saying that and I don't do it, but I need to. And then I read 1 book translated from French, 2 from Italian, and 1 from English. I read a book in Spanish that was originally written in English, which was Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. My mom bought it and she doesn't read in English, so that's why she bought the translation. Now moving on to the books I read. Starting off with my modern classics, my favorite book of this year was The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. That's a haunting, captivating book. I talk more in depth about this book in my 2025 favorites, but if you have this book on your TBR and you've been meaning to read it for a long time, please do, because I've had this book on my TBR for the longest time, and reading this book was an experience that I'm going to remember for a long time because I was so hooked into the story. The One in Black by Susan Hill is also a really good book to read during spooky season. The Crucible by Arthur Miller, I did not like it. I think it's a very bad representation of the Salem witch trials. Therefore, classics, Pride and Prejudice was a reread. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Don Juan Tenorio, I read both of them during spooky season, a really good time. Tales of Ancient Egypt was a very dense book. I don't think I fully grasped all the Egyptian mythology. I feel like since I didn't grow up with the mythology, I need to study the mythology before reading about it because I feel like a lot of information went over my head because I didn't have the basis of it. Now, for nonfiction, two of my favorites are the La Gran Guerra Guerra and In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, Free by Amanda Knox, and The House of My Mother by Shari Frank are two memoirs about two women that have been failed by society. That's the best way I can describe it. For historical fiction, it's one of my favorite genres, but I didn't have much luck this year. I adored Between the Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. Again, I talked more in depth about this book in my 2025 favorites. And The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis is about a book that half of the book is set in Egyptian mythology, because like I said, I'm trying to learn more about Egyptian mythology. The three books are on top. I didn't really adore them that much, sadly. I did like them, I didn't hate them. Books, I enjoyed reading them, but the reading experience wasn't that best. But these three books are books I vividly remember reading, and I know they're going to stay with me for a long time. For fantasy, Sunrise on the Reaping surprisingly didn't stick with me that much. I think it's because I was expecting to like it as much, to love it as much as I loved that Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, because that book really got into my soul when I read it. I like this book. I cannot wait to watch the movie. Period, a beautiful, amazing middle grade. Onyx Storm, no one is more sad than me that I didn't adore this book, because Fourth Wing is one of my favorite fantasy novels, but Onyx Storm is a third book, and I will read the fourth book just to see where the story is going, but if I don't like the fourth book, I'm not going to continue the series. Divine Rivals, it dragged a little bit, but it was a very cozy read. Then, let's start with my Kindle Limited subscription reads. These were the first three books I read. These are mafia books. I feel like only the last one is dark romance. The first two books are just romance with a dark twist. I know everyone's favorite is the second one. It's actually my least favorite, but it's still a good one. Like, I gave all these books 4 or 5 stars. I would recommend all of them, but they're not feminist reads. That's all I have to say. Then I read all the Twisted series books. I adored the second book. I hated the third book. Then the first and the fourth book, they were okay. For the Kings of Sing series, I liked all of them. My favorite one was the fifth one, King of Envy, Boys of Torment. These books really shaped my summer. I read all of these books in a month. Thanks to these books, I started my TikTok account. Favorite one is Keeping 13. My least favorite is Taming 7, because I feel like Claire's and Gibbs's relationship was built up so much, and then when we got their book, it was like very lackluster. Releasing 10 is very traumatic, and I still don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like Chloe Walsh, I don't want to say that she didn't do a good job with the mental illness, but I don't know, I still don't know how to feel about Releasing 10. Then for romance, I'm not going to read more Mariana Zapata's books, because she's really not for me. Then I read The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. This is my first and last Jessa Hastings. I didn't hate the book. I actually liked it. I'm not interested in reading Magnolia Parks, because I know there's a lot of cheating in that book. I'm just going to stay away from her books as of right now. Rio Want It Back is the last book in the Winter City series. I thought I wasn't going to like it because of Rio. I wasn't really keen to read Rio's story, but I think this ended up being my favorite book in the entire series. Maybe it's because I went into this book thinking I was just going to like it. No, I really liked it. Rio became one of my favorites, actually. May Luna is the book you have to read if you want any of my romance recommendations. It's not a happy ending. I don't know if that's a spoiler. Just beware that I shed a tear while reading this book. I mean, if you're just looking for a happy romance, this is not it, but I liked it. Then the Mindfuck series, people say it's like a Criminal Minds. It's really not. Like, the entire plot of this book is like, it's like a Scooby-Doo Criminal Minds parody. It's great if you just want to read something and not really think too much about it. For horror thrillers, The Housemaid's Wedding is a nice addition to the series. It's a novella between the second and the third book. I know everyone is reading The Housemaid right now because the movie is coming out. I first read The Housemaid, I think like 4 years or 5 years ago. I think it's great. I think it's a great, easy psychological thriller. I don't like any other of Freya McFadden's books. I don't want to accuse any author of AI, but she publishes like 3 books a year. That's kind of insane. I only like her Housemaids series. My Evil Mother by Margaret Atwood. This is on Kindle Unlimited or Prime Reading, one of those. I wasn't really expecting much from a short stories, but this short story really delivered. Then Our Shade of Night by Mariana Enriquez. This was my first Mariana Enriquez. I really want to read more by her, but I know I need to wait a little bit because this book has a lot to unpack, and I feel like I'm still processing this first book that I read by her. So these are all the books that I read. I my statistics. Like I said, I had a good reading year. I had a lot of fun reading these books, and I cannot wait to see what 2026 has for me reading wise and also life wise, because I'm a little scared because I feel like this year was going to be a year full of changes, but that's another topic. I hope you guys liked this video, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!